So you're competitive.
Obviously, we raced against each other.
You're ultra competitive, and you get supersonic pissed off when things don't go Danica's way. I like that the most about you.
You come to the team and you know, you're this little girl and you're strong. You have a really strong personality, kind of intimidating at times, and you're like, is she gonna hit me if I do something?
You were 14 and out there, and you were just as spunky as your whole. That was the beginning of seeing like you turn into like, yeah, go get it, girl.
You know, how many times I tell you can't go out drinking because
You were hard on me.
yeah, because I knew in the long run, what was your first big sponsor? What'd they do? They went back and checked your record.
And what'd they find, Dad?
You just had speeding tickets.
That's right, up high, because speeding tickets qualify me for a job in a race car.
Yeah.
Because you guys became the tricksters, and I always got asked, like, what did they do to you? Did they, like, haze you in any way? I'm like, I'm not sure they knew what to do with me.
No, we were too scared.
Of me or doing the wrong thing?
But also, we got told that, you know, remember, boys are boys, and I know nowadays.
Wait a minute, you guys got your wings clipped?
You can totally take it, but we're like, guys, you have to like, you can do stuff to her, but do not exaggerate the way you guys do
Don't
to
shit
boys.
in her toilet.
Yeah, so
You got to take my role for the clips of swearing then. You got to take it over from me on the, what is that called after the NASCAR weekends? Radioactive.
Yes.
I always heard from Ricky when we used to date, like that he hated me swearing, and I was on Radioactive all the time, apparently swearing. I didn't really listen to him, but I heard I made the cut most of the time. So I'm so glad that they found you and Chad that you could fill in that gap.
Yes, I'm glad to take over for you. It means we have a very interesting vocabulary, I believe.
Well, what was I like?
Well, what I remember most was you you were shy-ish, right? In the beginning, like you were, I guess you were probably a little with them mostly, but probably a little starstruck and kind of like, oh my God, they're here. That's kind of weird. But it was always that, right? It was always a bit of the, you know, why are they here, right? Like,
yeah, that's very much the question. Why are you here? What are you doing?
Worlds crossing that doesn't make sense to people, right? Yeah. but like, because we were all together in that tent, we would go out and watch all the other races. And I remember watching you in one of the races and going, oh, she can drive. Like, she's got that fire. And I think when you would come back in, we were like, dude, girl, that was awesome. And you were kind of like, yeah, whatever. And it was like, you had like, it wasn't a good race, but we were impressed by it.
Okay.
And yeah. But that's where you, like, for me, you gain the respect, because it no longer mattered that we were who we were. You were like, I didn't have the race that I wanted. It didn't matter who else is around.
Right. It wasn't like I was like, thanks, I was like, whatever.
Yeah, you were like, the race didn't go exactly as we planned it.
Did you watch? I'm like, I probably was like, did you watch the race? Did you see what I finished fourth?
Right. And it was like, well, but to us, it was like,
you know, you were an attractive female racing. You just said it. If you're out with a young engineer, you guys are dating, automatic, you know. And the worst thing about racing is how tight a circle that is. And it, like, literally, oh my God, heavens forbid, if you even get caught talking to somebody, like, it's on, it's done, it's official. You might as well put it in the record books. They're full on dating, and that's just the way it is. So I couldn't imagine of doing, you know, what you did all those years, being, you know, the female that you were, and ultimately it was, you know, a pretty male dominant sport.
It was a situation. Do you remember? There was one time I was disappointed. That was my the way I think about it. You and Dan had a bit of an argument at Milwaukee. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I do. I was going into turn one, and he sort of chopped down on me and put me, like, I ended up bumping it, like we touched, and I went which anybody that knows open wheel racing, you don't really want to touch wheels. I'm in the grass, going across the grass in 1 and 2. I come back on, and anyway, I was having a great race because I think I'd started like last. The car was so hard to drive and didn't qualify well, and then I'd made it up to like I was passing for 5th, I feel like, on Dan in the first stint, which is about 80 laps long-ish. And so I was hauling, and he did that, and then it obviously ended up going all the way to the back again, and I think I maybe ended up finishing 5th or 8th or something like that. I came back through, but not, all the way, and afterwards I was so mad at him, and so I had talked to my team, and then I saw him on pit lane, and you know how it is at the racetrack, you don't always have an opportunity to see someone after the race, like, because everybody gets done and then they leave. And so I saw him, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go over there. I think maybe I even asked. It reminds me of the Milka Dunos situation at Mid-Ohio. I a lot of times ask first, like, can I go talk to him? Like, I want to go tell him.
Who did you ask?
Nobody really tells me no. And so I go over there, and I put my arm around his shoulder or on his trap, and I'm squeezing his traps so hard, and I'm telling him what he did to me, and I'm so angry. And then that's sort of like the moment, and I remember he kind of spoke down to me a little. He acted like I was overreacting, and maybe I was, but it was a little condescending.
Yeah, from my point, I was watching that. I remember, I think I was back at the truck already or somewhere, and I watched the replay, and I was like, that was the one time I was kind of like, you know what? I think I said to you afterwards, I said, if that had been me or Tony talking and doing that with Dan, he'd have punched us. But you put him in a position, you were giving it to him absolutely, and he couldn't react. And that was the one time I was like, you know what I mean?
So have you ever been in a situation with a driver where you were like that angry?
Oh yeah.
So then what happened?
We exchanged pleasantries.
Verbally?
Oh yeah, but we didn't.
So I'm saying, like, should I have been able to do that? Are you saying that this is like?
Well, it was you. I think if I remember, you were actually sort of giving him a bit of pushing and stuff as well.
Maybe
yeah, and I was like, well, that was the difference, because if I'd have pushed DW like that, he would have. Which we did have a moment in 2007 when we had a bit of an altercation, but yeah. So that was the only thing. But apart from that, to you, whether you were teammates or on track, it was from that moment in India, it was like, yeah, you're one of the drivers, one of the yeah.
And then then you just like you used to get fiery, so we backed off. We're like, we'll leave it alone.
Do you feel like I've tamed down a little bit? Am I more calm than I was when you remember meeting me and in the beginning?
No.
Good.
No.
Just about different things, right?
I think you've learned how to control yourself a little more, obviously, as years goes by. I think you've learned, but also, nowadays, you probably know that a lot better than me. Once you're in the spotlight, you gotta unfortunately think about 3 times once before you really react. And I think back in the days, the good part was you didn't care. You didn't like something. Yeah. You're gonna go after that.
I mean, I used to fly off the handlebars all the time. I remember the one time I was walking down pit lane, the race was still going on. It was Michigan. We were delayed for like 3 hours because of the rain, and then all of a sudden it was drivers to your cars, and we were green flagging 15 laps, and it was the second longest race of the year next to the Indy 500. Yep. And I think we sat in the car for 45 minutes before we even rolled off because they were still trying to dry weepers, and I wasn't brave enough to get out and go to the bathroom because I thought, sure enough, they're going to call us to go. And but anyway, and I remember I think I ran out of gas with like 6 laps to go, and I was so pissed off, and I was like throwing my helmet down, my earpieces down, I'm walking out pit lane, and I kick a barrel, and the barrel was empty, and I thought it was full of water, and I was like, oh shit, and I picked the barrel up and I stood it up straight because I was like, oh no.
But see, I mean, like I said, you probably would do differently today, so I think maybe you haven't changed. Maybe. I mean, I don't think you have.
Maybe.
You're fun to keep up with, a little challenging to keep up with, but well, we're always thinking about you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. Well, I'll have to bring some wine around. I make quite a bit of it now, so.
We'd love to try it.
Oh my gosh, I'm having flashbacks to that party in your
On the boat?
backyard the boat was really fun too. I was actually just reminiscing about the boat one where Amy and myself and a couple other girls, we were so hammered, and we were and it was raining, and we were all just like standing in the rain at the front of the boat. But I was also remembering being in your backyard and having a party in the backyard, and we drank way too much. I don't even remember. And we have like a fun boomerang picture of us in the backyard. Way too many drinks. I know I felt that the next day, but I know there's more responsibilities now with kids and things like that, but that doesn't mean we don't know how to have fun.
We know how to have fun if we need to.
You're not big enough to be an offensive lineman.
Danica, this is my story. You asked the question, I'm telling you.